They were told the money will never finish. They were also told something else. You will all be dead in 6 years. Not someday, not maybe. 6 rains, 6 harvests, 6 birthdays. And this is the story of what they spent first, the money or their time. They had grown up together, 3 friends, raised by the same dust roads, the same empty promises. They worked hard, they tried, and still nothing changed. Every year ended the same way, hope tired, pockets empty. It was the first of them, Sola, who spoke the thought aloud. There is another way, he said. He did not explain at first. He waited for silence to settle, then finished, a way that works. The second friend, Kade, laughed nervously. If it worked, he said, everyone would be rich. The third, Miro, said nothing. He had always listened more than he spoke. The offer came through a man who never returned twice. No name, no home, no past. Only a rule. You will be wealthy, the man said, beyond effort, beyond loss. Then he paused, but you will live only 6 more years. No violence, no blood, no bargaining. Once the money touches your hand, the man continued, time begins to count you down. They were warned clearly, no extensions, no reversals, no refunds. Silence followed. Then Sola asked the question that mattered most. 6 years, starting when? The man's partial smile emerging from shadow, unsettling. From the moment you accept, they accepted. The money came the same night, not loudly, not magically. It simply appeared, waiting as if it had always been theirs. Year 1 felt like freedom. They moved fast, bought what had once mocked them from a distance. Clothes, houses, respect. They laughed at the warning. What is 6 years, Sola said, when life has never truly started? Year 2 made them bold. People listened when they spoke. Only Kade noticed something strange. Time felt thinner. Weeks slipped by without memory. Days folded into each other. He mentioned it once. Sola waved it away. Miro stayed silent. By the 3rd year, the money still grew, but something else began to shrink. Faces around them aged faster. Friends drifted. Laughter felt borrowed. Kade fell sick briefly. Nothing serious, but the doctor could not explain it. He sat in the clinic alone, staring at his hands, hands that had touched the money, hands that had signed nothing but were bound to everything. I have 3 years left, he whispered to himself. Not with grief, with the cold precision of a man doing arithmetic on his own life. He went home that night and did something the other 2 had not done. He sat with his mother. He did not tell her the truth. He just sat with her, watched her move through the kitchen, watched her hands, old and certain, doing the small faithful things that hands do when they are not afraid of time. He cried after she slept, quietly, so she would not hear. By the 4th year, fear entered their wealth. Kade made his decision. He gave his money away. Every coin, every note, he gave it to strangers, to the church, to the road, anywhere it was not his. He slept that night feeling lighter than he had in years. The next morning, it was back, neatly arranged, waiting on the table like a patient thing. He stared at it for a long time. Then he laughed, not from joy, but from the deep, hollow place inside a man who finally understands there is no door left to try. The message was clear. This was not a gift, it was an agreement. And agreements do not care about regret. Sola, meanwhile, had built an empire. Properties, investments, a name that moved before him into rooms. But he had stopped looking people in the eye. Not from arrogance, from shame. Because every person who smiled at him, every worker, every admirer, every woman who loved him, he knew something they did not. Sola alone in a large empty room, vast space around him. He began to count quietly. Sunsets, meals, conversations. How many of these do I have left? 30 rainy seasons? 20? Or have I already used them all? He could not stop the counting, and the counting would not let him rest. Miro watched both of them from a distance. He had spent his years differently, not wildly like Sola, not desperately like Kade. He had built a home, a quiet one. He had loved someone, not perfectly, but honestly. He had planted a garden he knew he would not fully see grow. He did not talk about the agreement. He did not fight it. But at night, alone, he will go to the garden and press his hands into the soil and stay there until the fear passed. It always passed until it didn't. In the 5th year, Sola stopped sleeping. He hired men to find the nameless man, searched markets, forests, border towns, nothing. The man who had offered them everything had vanished the same way he had come, without footprint, without echo. Sola began writing letters he never sent. To his father, to a woman he had loved before the money, to Kade, to Mero. He never sent them because he did not know what to say that would not sound like a man begging the world to remember him. So he kept them under his pillow and counted sunsets and could not sleep. Kade, in that 5th year, stopped trying to escape. He prayed, not frantically, but the way a man prays when he has stopped asking for rescue and started asking for something quieter. Not more time, just peace with the time that remains. He called Sola once. "Do you remember," he said, "the first day before the man came?" Sola was quiet. "We were broke," Kade continued, "but we laughed that day. Do you remember what we laughed about?" Sola did not remember. That silence said everything. Kade hung up and went to sit with his mother again. Miro wrote nothing, called no one, searched for nothing. He simply finished. The garden, a meal he cooked slowly, an evening with someone he loved, watching the sky change color. He had made peace with it, not because he was brave, but because he had learned, earlier than the others, that peace is not something you find at the end. It is something you practice every day you choose not to waste. As the 6th year arrived, none of them were surprised. Death did not rush them. It came exactly on time. Sola went first, quietly in his sleep, surrounded by wealth, letters still under the pillow, never sent. Kade went next, alone, far from home, but not afraid. They said his face was calm, like a man who had already said his goodbyes in all the ways that mattered. Miro was last. He sat in his garden as the hour approached, not in his large house, not among his possessions, in the soil, hands pressed down, eyes open. The clock struck the hour promised, and he was gone. 3 men, same agreement, same money, same 6 years. But they did not die the same death. One died full of things and empty of peace. One died far from home but close to himself. One died with his hands in the earth he loved. The money was equal. The time was equal. Only the living was different. And perhaps that is the oldest truth the elders never stop telling. It is not how long, it is never how long. It is what you do with the years the soil still holds you.